Most parents who come to me for coaching, they want to figure out the why. They want to know, why is my boy acting this way? But the truth is, most of them have already ruled most things out. They're smart, they've gone through the checklist, and they just can't figure out why he's acting the way he is. It is, of course, important to make sure that any external factors are dealt with. So if your child, for example, is being kept in for recess at school every day, or being singled out in class regularly, or treated poorly by a peer or something like that, okay, that warrants a conversation with the teacher for sure. You're going to want to get in there and have a conversation with that teacher and brainstorm some ideas that can be more connection-based and much more likely to help your sweet boy through that behavior, rather than just reinforce him feeling like a bad kid. Yes, okay, something external is going on. We need to deal with that. But most of the time, if there are external factors, they're not factors that we can change. So, for example, maybe we got divorced. Maybe we moved cities. Maybe a sibling was born. Okay, in these situations, I found that what really helps parents is, rather than focus on the external, right? Because the kid's not going away, or you're not getting divorced, or you're not moving back to where you came from, right? So rather than focusing on the external, what happens when we shift our focus and focus on the internal and look at what's going on with our sweet boy and how can we support him through? So the first thing that I would suggest that you do is to really think about the behavior and when it started. What might be triggering? Don't dwell, but think about what feelings might be coming up for him in a particular situation. And I like to do this by putting myself in his shoes. So if I were in that situation, or when I was in that situation, what was I feeling? Because it's very likely that he's feeling something similar. And then you can empathize much more easily, right? So if you had a sibling born, maybe you're the firstborn or the secondborn or whatever number, but there was somebody who came after you and you had to suddenly share your attention with your parents, how did that feel? If your parents split up and your world as you knew it fell to pieces or completely got turned on its head, like happened to me, how would you feel, or how did you feel? If you made a big move, right? How was it for you? How was it leaving your friends? Did you feel like you had an easy time planting yourself in this new place? Was it challenging? What were the challenges? What feelings came up for you? What I've noticed is that we are oftentimes experiencing feelings that are very similar to the feelings that our sweet boys and our kids are experiencing. We miss being able to give all our time and attention to that one child that we had before the second one was born, or we miss the stability that came with the relationship before we chose to get a divorce, or somebody else chose to get a divorce. We miss our friends across the world, just like our kid is missing his friends across the world. And then what happens is when we see our kid feeling these similar feelings that we are feeling, the whole thing just becomes completely overwhelming. I can share a personal story. This happened to me when we moved countries, and one of my kids was really struggling. And I've talked about this in videos before. I was struggling as well. And it just got to the point where I wasn't able to be present with him because we were having the same feelings. And I remember, I think I might have shared this in another video, but it's such a core experience for me as a parent that I probably will bring it up in future videos as well. But what happened is that he was really upset about something. I don't remember what, but I just remember him sitting on the stairs and me getting furious and screaming at the top of my lungs something like, "I can't deal with you, stop it, I can't deal with you, what's wrong with you?" Something like that. I don't remember what I said, but I do remember my partner stepping in and saying, "Hey, you need to chill, you need to go get help for yourself." Like, I was really at rock bottom. But essentially what was happening is exactly what I was just talking about, which is that I was experiencing the same feelings that he was experiencing. And so when he was sharing with me that he was feeling them, or showing me that he was feeling them, that compounded with mine. I wasn't able to help him co-regulate. I just spiraled right down with him. Obviously, I had to go get my own help. I did get my own help. We got through it. So it was a happy ending, but it was a challenging time for sure. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. We do often feel a lot of pressure to get to the root cause. Why is he acting this way? But I want you to question whether or not that's really necessary, because perhaps the cause is something like we talked about that's not going to go away, right? It's not going to change. And the reality is that you can support him regardless. You don't have to know all the reasons, or perhaps there are reasons that aren't going to go away. In any case, you can help him. So just being present and listening is more powerful than you realize. If you're not in a place you can do that, we'll talk about that in another video, but just being present is going to really allow him to navigate those feelings at his own pace, allow him to get from an upset, overwhelmed state of being to one where he can think more clearly. Maybe he's sad, maybe he's worried, maybe he's mad. Whatever his feeling is, it doesn't matter. If we can stay with him while he rides the waves, right? Without worrying about him, just being with him while he rides the waves, his behavior is going to improve. It doesn't matter if we know exactly what caused the behavior in the first place. We can help no matter what. Just by creating that safe space, you can help him manage the emotions, and that will lead to better behavior over time on his part. To do this, though, you need to be in the right headspace, right? You need to be in the right mindset to be able to support him, unlike I was that day on the stairs. So if you need help with that, click on the next video, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how to do that.